How's everybody doing? They trying to make this into an awful holiday. This is awful, awful, awful. But listen, please hit the like button. We're just gonna get into it. Please share. Right? Please subscribe. Please don't forget about the book club and everything we got going on. Let me put the book club up real quick for you. Please do not forget. January, I think that's the 28th. That's the last Thursday. Please do not forget. They trying to make it an unmerry, an unhappy Christmas though, fam. That is the saddest thing that we're going through. So please, if you want to donate, $breakingbrown, patreon.com/ycornell, donatebrown.com, all of that good stuff, fam. Please do not forget. Please don't forget also to hit that subscribe button. Please do not forget that. I would appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe, or just make sure that the subscribe button has been hit, right? Please make sure that the bell has been hit so that you get notifications, all of that wonderful stuff. The book is kind of difficult to get through, but the book is the book. And Merry Christmas and happy holidays and all that good stuff to you, fam. I know they're trying to make it, they're trying to steal, they're trying to, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, because, supposed to be checks. Now there's a fight about who stole the, whose bill is better, who got the what or the where or the who. Right? So listen, let's get into it, fam. We're not gonna take no whole lot of time. Everybody got stuff to do. You maybe are off work. Hopefully you are working and all that good stuff is going on. Get your libations. Gather around as we talk about how none of these people ain't nothing and how we gotta force them to be something because they're not just gonna be nothing on their own. Right? That's the Grinch. Look how the Grinch look. He look like politics, don't he? Look like Capitol Hill, don't he? He sure do. Now let me tell you what happened. Let's tell a little story. Because we're going to talk about something else. We're not just going to talk about the stimulus. We're not just going to talk about all of that stuff. We're going to talk about some other stuff too. Because there's some other stuff that's going to happen. And it's going to click into some stuff that's going to link to the browning of America. A whole lot of stuff. So listen, this is what happened first. Let's get into the sequence of things. Donald Trump made a whole speech and called for a bunch of more money. And he said, y'all got a bunch of stuff in here for other countries and wombat squirrels and stuff like that. And he said, that's a problem. Now, this is very interesting to me, right? It's very interesting to me for a very interesting thing. People say, well, he just came out with that. No. He been on this go big or go home stuff for a while. Wanted to bring it up. He might be finna get out the White House, but he got some stuff to say. He's been saying it for a while now. The question is, well, where was this Donald Trump? Donald Trump did that? Now where was Joe Biden at when all this stuff was going on? Where was Joe Biden at? Right? No, the phone don't even recognize me. That's a shame. So where was Joe Biden at? Well, I can answer you where was Joe Biden at. Joe Biden was the same place that Obama had been. So if you read this article, let me just bring it up a little bit bigger. Pandemic aid bolsters Biden and shows potential path for his agenda in Congress. That's a very positive headline. That's a very positive headline that y'all put on Biden. But when you get into the nitty and the gritty, is where we have to park. The nitty and the gritty. Never forget that, family. The nitty and the gritty. Because the headline will say one thing, because all these people, one thing we learned is ADOS. These people be slanted as a mug all the way around. So here's what we really found out. Compared to what Obama did. Y'all remember when Obama called in for the recession, he just co-signed what Republicans, y'all got to get on board. Now look at what Biden did. Mr. Biden on Sunday applauded the willingness of lawmakers to reach across the aisle. That's some kind of dog whistle right there. That's all he want to do is reach across the aisle and grab segregation in his hands. Anyway, and called the effort a model for the challenging work ahead for our nation. He was also not an idle bystander in negotiations. Well, do tell. With Republican and Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate far apart on how much they were willing to accept in new pandemic spending, Mr. Biden on December the 2nd threw his support behind the $900 billion plan being pushed by the centrist group. The total was less than half of the $2 trillion that Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senator Schumer, Democrat of New York, had been insisting for. So let me break this down and help make sure we understand. Well, let me make sure we understand. Dems was asking for double what Biden asked for. Please understand that, double. Now take me serious. Let me take my hat off. Please take me seriously. Double. He reduced it by half, saying we gonna reach across the aisle. Same way Obama did. We just gotta do what we gotta do. We just gotta be how we gotta be. This is just a presidential thing to do. Well, it's no surprise for me though. Shouldn't be any surprise for you. Why? This is the same Biden that, this is when July leaves reparations out of racial equity plan. This is just, yeah. He's the same person that he has always been, but y'all want to go, oh Lord, we just gotta go vote for Biden. That's what how y'all, we just gotta get Trump out of there. Now you're in a position where Trump is offering you a bigger package than the person you voted for, than the Democrat you voted for. He done went to the left of Democrats. How the heck? But let me just get to something else. Right? Yvette, now here comes the accusation. You know how it goes. Y'all know how it goes, right? So here's the accusation. So when we have any kind of conversation about trying to talk about these politicians, because it's the truth of the matter. How does Trump outflank you? What are you doing so wrong? You know how wrong you have to be where Trump comes in and says, yeah, that's a little small. You know how wrong you got to be? But we're in a world where everybody gets called MAGA. So y'all remember, let's just take it back. If you don't remember, you weren't here. What they loved to call me was, oh my God, Yvette. And those ADOS people, they're Trumpers. They didn't have no evidence because it ain't true. When you lie, you ain't going to have no evidence. Ain't no evidence for a lie. You just talking. You just making stuff up. It's what Joy Reid did, Malcolm Nance, everybody did it. Well, it's an interesting thing about that. It's a very, 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 very interesting thing. While we were being called MAGA, there were other minorities who were actually becoming MAGA that still haven't been chastised. As a matter of fact, they're being chased. Democrats are chasing after them. Please, please, please come back to the party. Well, let's just delve into that a little bit, right? Because we saw us get accused of black men running off to the Republican Party. What's wrong with y'all? We were the ones that got lambasted. But like I said, while we were being accused of being MAGA, there were other minorities, and the data shows over 20,000 precincts. New York Times did a study who was actually MAGA. It wasn't ADOS. Let's take a look at it. So let's get in here. This is the New York Times, family. Immigrant neighborhoods shifted red as the country chose blue. Ain't that interesting? Now you got to stay with me because it's a lot in here. It's a lot of good stuff in here. So just stay with me. Across the United States, many areas with large populations of Latinos and residents of Asian descent, including ones with the highest numbers of immigrants, had something in common this election: a surge in turnout and a shift, often a sizable one. A shift to the right, often a sizable one. The pattern was evident in big cities like Chicago, New York, California, Florida, and along the Texas border with Mexico, according to a New York Times analysis of voting in 28,000 precincts in more than 20 cities. Let's talk about who MAGA really is, or is becoming. Joseph R. Biden Jr. beat President Trump in almost all of these places en route to his popular victory. But the red shifts along with a wave of blue shifts in Republican and white areas, have scrambled the conventional wisdom of American politics and could presage a new electoral calculus. Now, before we get into it, fam, let's just understand what's being said here. A new electoral calculus. Let me just put this into layman's speak, what they're trying to say. They're trying to say the whole democratic idea that they were just going to talk about DACA and people being in the border and cages and immigration incessantly, instead of talking about ADOS or the debt that they owe and what happen with other working class people, or how they have to lift the floor, or the decision to put everything, to make the core of the Democratic Party about immigration failed. You didn't skew to the left, you skewed to the right. You didn't win those people, you lost more than you won. That doesn't mean you didn't win in areas with a lot of these people. That's what they just said. But these minorities that Democrats are banking on, they're skewing right. And let me tell you something. The Democrats, instead of trying to bolster up the base, which is ADOS, they are running after them, and there has to be a consequence for that. Then let me just go to this. A few charts in here we got to get through real quick. But we got to check this out. Now, here's the first one. Here's Cook County, home to Chicago. Mr. Biden won 50 percentage points over Mr. Trump. But these red arrows, and I'm going to show you the red arrows just 1 second, on the map show precincts that have shifted right since 2016. There are 2,158 of them compared with the 1,508 that have shifted left. More shifted right than left. That's what he's telling you. Now look at the shift. Remember, this is Cook County. Now look at these little arrows. That's the shift. That's gone. Right? And it wasn't just one place. That's the thing. It wasn't just one place. Look at the bottom of this one really quickly for me. No, let me just bring this up. Let me bring up the bottom of this. Shifts in margin from 2016. More Democratic. Look at the so you can know what it means. I didn't tell you. I'm so tired. Anyway, let me bring this one up. Now look at the bottom of the chart. It says areas where 30% or more are born abroad. So foreign born, right? That's yellow. In particular, Chicago precincts with a lot of immigrants saw more turning out than in 2016, and many shifted for Trump. Look at those arrows going red. Y'all bet on Brown and lost, didn't you? You lost big. You don't want to talk about that though, do you? You just want to chase after it. Okay, well, let's keep going. Now look at the bottom of this. Areas that are more than 50% Latino. It's the same general area in Chicago. Almost all of the precincts with the majority Latino population showed an increase in enthusiasm for the president. Let's go to the next one. Let's just keep it moving. Now this, if you look at the bottom of this, let's just look at this part first. The little yellow square at the bottom. Little light yellow square. Areas that are more than 50% of Mexican descent. Now let's go talk about what it says. Look at the shift and we're going to read it. You see those little arrows? You see them little shifts? Humboldt Park, right? Including ones with tens of thousands of Mexican residents. Mr. Trump received 45% more votes in these areas than 4 years ago. Mr. Biden still won, but the number of people who voted Democratic did not increase over 2016. Y'all done spent the whole last four years talking about immigration incessantly, and it did not help your turnout. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody's having a conversation. Understand this, fam. Nobody's having a conversation about the strategic mistake that Democrats made by putting all their horses in that cart. Nobody is talking about what happened to ADOS in terms of how we got sidelined, and nobody talked about us or what our do was, because y'all decided that you were going to put all your eggs in a basket, and then the egg just broke. I don't know. Make an omelet. I don't care. That whole bet where you would talk about the border and caravans and all that stuff, yo, that whole bet didn't play off. And nobody's holding Democrats accountable for betting on Brown or betting on minority and it not paying off. It didn't pay off. Let's go to this next one. It was not just Latino areas. In a belt of suburbs north of Chicago, precincts that are home to South Asian, Arab, and Eastern European immigrants, there was also a higher turnout and a shift for Trump. So what we're looking at, just to understand what we're looking at, fam, what we're looking at is that in a lot of places that where they have a large immigrant population, for whatever reason, they are shifting to Trump. Right? What does that tell you about, you would think, what would you think it would tell you? You would think it would tell you to let this go. This dog don't hunt too well. Or he don't hunt well enough for the attention that he has gotten. Because look, let me pull this down a little bit. This is the image on top. This doesn't work. It didn't work. That's how you lost Florida. Well, he still won. Yeah, but you didn't bet on ADOS. You bet on them, and it didn't work. That's a problem. Hold on a second for me. Hold on 1 second, fam. Let me bring this up. This was an early sign that it wasn't gonna work. Latino support for GOP steady despite Trump immigration talk. Well, what was the point of all the talk then? To just win over a few more white people who might be sympathetic or empathetic. Oh, well, what was the point? This failed. This was a failed project. You tried, it didn't work. So what that tells you is that we should be moving in a different direction. Y'all tried to make everything about immigration and it didn't work. It's time to move. It's time to leave this space. Let's go to another one. Hold on a second. Stay with me, fam. In Chinatown, Mr. Trump's vote increased by 34% over 2016, while Mr. Biden received 6% fewer votes than Hillary Clinton. Mr. Biden still won the precincts with the majority of the ages. Look at that. Mr. Biden still won in precincts with the majority of residents of Asian descent, but the Democratic margin of victory fell 12 percentage points. Please understand that 12 is a huge number. That's an absolutely extraordinarily huge number. So let's go back to this really quick. Let's go back to this previous article really, really quickly. This one right here. The Latinos for Trump. See, support for a candidate is supposed to be an exchange too. If we lose support with you or whatever, you're supposed to be like, no, I'm going to focus on the people who have support for us, right? So, though Latino voters are a key part of the Democratic coalition, there is a larger block of reliable Republican Latinos than many think. And the GOP's position among Latinos has not weakened during the Trump administration, despite the president's rhetoric against immigrants and the party's shift to the right on immigration. In November's election, 32% of Latinos voted for Republicans, according to AP VoteCast data. The survey of more than 115,000 midterm voters, including 7,738 Latino voters, was conducted by the Associated Press, by NORC, and the University of Chicago. This is who Democrats, this is who you're going to chase? This who you running after? We just need to know so we can keep the down ballot going. I don't know. Let me go to this one right here. Let me see the same thing like we talked about with Texas. We talked about with Texas. When you talk about Houston, And Houston's, I think did we hit that one yet? Oh, no. Before we get to that one, let's go back here, fam. Let's go all the way back here. Change in votes cast from 2016 to 2020 in precincts where the combined population of Latinos and residents of Asian descent is at least 65%. Take a look at that. Look at all that red. Ain't that something? Look at the plus. Look at the plus in the red versus the plus in the blue. Let's take it down a little bit further. That's got to tell you everything you need to know. But let's look at this one real quick. Remember, we were talking about here. We were talking about this area, but let's go to this real quick. Let's talk a little bit about our own selves, right? Meanwhile, areas with more modest red shifts tended to be predominantly black with few immigrants. Mr. Biden received fewer votes than Mrs. Clinton in these areas, while Trump vote increased slightly. We consistent. But go to all these other places. Listen. The Democratic Party has to decide what it's going to do. I don't know what it's going to do. But they got to decide what they're going to do. And if they don't do what we need them to do, it's down ballot all over again. Ain't nobody showing up for you. You keep choosing people who don't want you. We keep sitting in a situation and living in a situation where we're dying and you won't come for us, even though we're the reason why you're in power. You go and chase the one that left you. And understand, ain't nobody, listen, we got trashed. Especially black men got trashed. What's wrong with these black men? They must be stupid. They must be crazy. Why would they vote Republican? They just so dumb. Ain't nobody heard, nobody called not one Latino dumb for voting Republican. Not one. We got to be see, let me tell you what happened. We got to hold the bag for the black and brown vote, which is stupid anyway. But we had to hold the bag for that part of the vote that went to Trump when it wasn't even us. It was them. Understand, they made black men really hold that. And they said, this is why the black, brown, what they do. No, y'all never made them hold nothing. I ain't seen not one article. I ain't seen no Latino woman talk about how awful Latino men are or nothing like that. I ain't seen none of that. Don't y'all understand when you're being played? Don't y'all understand when they turning us against each other? Jamel Hill, how can you be so crazy? Putting up, the problem is, that's the problem. No, look at the numbers. The numbers tell you who went where. And we already put those numbers up here to show you far more black men voted for Biden than Latino men voted for Biden. So what are you talking about? Numbers matter. Patterns matter. Data matters. Then you got Black Lives Matter over here saying that immigration, that DACA is a part of a transformative black agenda. Well, I don't even think so, because hold on. I remember something wet foot, dry foot. Go break down the data about how many, even if we want to take you at face value, how many black immigrants this is really about, right? Wet foot, dry foot. Let's talk about how the Haitians and the Cubans get treated differently. Let's talk about it. Y'all want to really have an immigration conversation. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about, do y'all remember? Go read, what was his name? Nathan Robinson's book about Bill Clinton and what happened with Haitians when they came here, how they got put in like basically concentration camps nobody want to talk about. Let's talk about it, because this DACA was not for black immigrants. I don't know why y'all are all on that page. It ain't got nothing to do with y'all in the main. This is about what's going on in the south of the border, and everybody better understand it. Everybody better get on board and understand what's really going on. Because if you understand wet foot, dry foot, if you understand what happened to Haitians during that period, you really understand who this is about and who this is designed to help. And you understand that it's designed to help. What do we always say? See, people always say, oh, anti-immigrant. No. It's just that we understand what's happening. This is a redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top. People want to hire cheap labor. They want to exploit these people. They want to destabilize their countries so that they come over here and they have no choice but to work for cheap and compete with us and lower the floor. It is not good for us or them. And America should stop doing all these adventures abroad, which destabilize countries and force people to leave their families and come over here. But back to the main topic. What we're looking at, if you want if you want to talk about it, is why Democrats should never again have immigration, because listen, Latinos, what they showed is you're not, listen, we know what you tried to do, Democrats. It's clear to us what you tried to do. You tried to win the Latino vote by just talking about immigration all the time. And Latinos realize, whether or not they're Republican or not, a lot of them realize, I don't want to be pandered to. I'm going to choose what I want to choose. And you're not going to make me choose no different. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to think whatever thought I want to think and make whatever choice I want to make. At least they were allowed to be free. Y'all won't even let us have freedom. We can't even choose who we want to choose. I ain't never voted Republican. But you don't even allow the black people who did vote Republican, you just, oh, look at them. Why you say that about Latinos then? What's the difference? My goodness. So this was the chart. This was the last chart, just for a little review. We see how it went. I'm not going to talk for much longer, y'all. Woo-wee. Let me see. So this was the original change in vote cast from 2016 to 2020. These were the charts. This was the first one. Just for a quick review. Let's go back to this. Latino growth in particular had figured in experts' predictions of the decline of Republican influence in the battleground states like Texas, Florida, and Arizona. That could change, however. That's what we just said. We just read this, right? So let's go on to the next one. We read that one. Let's go on to the next one. It wasn't just Cubans in Miami. You don't say. I'm shocked. It was somewhere else. I'm flooded. Willie Guardiola of Palm Beach Gardens, an immigrant from Cuba who runs a full-time anti-abortion ministry, voted for Mr. Trump. We have to have a president who is pro-life, as President Trump, Mr. Guardiola said. I still believe in my heart he won. He won 2020. They're trying to steal the election from Trump. Mr. Trump has been making false claims about voter fraud. Yeah. Let's move on to something somebody else said. The shift occurred in many precincts with Latino immigrants from Central and South America, including in Fort Lauderdale, north of Miami. And it encompassed areas that are Latino but not immigrant. In Orlando, precincts with a substantial population of Puerto Ricans shifted red, though less so than the ones in Miami. Now let's go to Texas. Traveling around the world, talking about what Trump done did. A blue shift in urban Texas, except in Mexican neighborhoods. Can you believe it? Now there you go again. Look at them the little red shifts. Look. In Houston's 245 precincts with the largest share of Latinos, turnout was up sharply from 2016, and Mr. Trump won nearly 2/3 of the additional votes. Well, shucky ducky quack quack, everybody. About 7% of Harris County's residents are of Asian descent, most of them immigrants. Precincts in Alif in the county's southwest, where many Vietnamese refugees and people of Mexican and Nigerian descent live, had some of the biggest rightward shifts. The long anticipated purpling of Republican Texas that was supposed to come as more Latinos joined the electorate was certainly nowhere in evidence on election day. Now hold on. Let me tell you something. Let me say something. Hold on. Y'all done spent, fam, how long? Can y'all tell me how long did y'all spend talking about all this immigration stuff and all this stuff and the border stuff and oh my God, the caravans. Trump is going to do something with the caravans. The caravans, he's demeaning people. And guess what? Latino vote ain't care so much so. And I'm saying, well, a lot of places they voted majority Biden. No, the shift. Listen, the key is the shift. The key is not just how they voted. The key is in the direction that they shifted. Because understand, I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. Understand that Democrats put everything into immigration. The whole conversation the last 4 years, if you've been paying attention, right, has been immigration. And even when we just brought up in that other one about Nigerians, how they were also part of the ones in that community who drove the number to the right. You have to ask the question if black immigrants are making it appear that we're more rightward, right? There was a great article in The Guardian a while ago about how why Nigerians love Trump or something like that. So if you're mad, go be mad at him. I didn't write the article. That was The Guardian writer who wrote it. You have to ask whether or not black immigrants are driving our number to the right. Right? Because we tend to be anti-Republican. Anti-red. But y'all spent all that money. Y'all didn't. When we said reparations, we made it on the platform. We made it in debates. We talked about reparations. We made the case with data. They didn't do none of that. About what we need, 400 years. Y'all didn't care. Y'all didn't care at all. Y'all said, no, we're going to put all of our eggs into the DACA basket. Into the border basket. Into the, oh my God, everybody's in cages basket. And guess what? They did not care. There was no blue shift. There was no blue wave of immigrants who cared about nothing you was talking about. Even the ones who came from there. They didn't all of a sudden track left. Don't know right left. They tracked right. So why are we still going to be talking about this going forward? It makes no political sense. And that's why we should not accept this conversation going forward. You made 4 years. You tried it. Hey, you did shoot your shot, Democrats. It didn't work. And so now what we got to say is we're not going to be here having this conversation where y'all just get to have a conversation that we ain't even a part of and you tell us to sit down and shut up. And then what you do is you go and get your Mel Hill and all these other people to weaponize against us when we say, hey, we want what we want and we get to do what we want to do. Why we can't do it? They do it. They do whatever they want to do and you don't say nothing. They can go 30%. Republican. We ain't never went that hard in years. They can do that. And nobody says anything. That's racist. Y'all just as racist. Listen, y'all are a racist party. Well, you saying Republicans aren't? Yeah, they are. Republicans are overtly racist though. Y'all are racist too. Don't act. Let's look at a few more, family, before we wrap anything up, because it's a lot going on. Mr. Trump's most sizable gains outside of Miami were in Rio Grande and the predominantly Hispanic areas along the border with Mexico, including Hidalgo County, home to McAllen. Come on. Look here. Looky here. Look at all these shifts. The Latino wind is blowing in a different, and the minority wind in general, not just them, is blowing in a very different direction than what the Democrats wanted to blow. You're going to wrap this up in a few, but you know what it is. In San Antonio, the nation's biggest majority Latino city, turnout was up nearly 30%. Democrats hope to flip the 23rd congressional district in Southwest Texas, including much of the city, but failed. Look at it. They failed. You're not winning the Latinos. You're doing all that. Not at the rate you need to win them. And you spent 4 years just Latino stuff. 4 years. In fact, Democrats had spent lavishly in attempts to win Republican congressional seats in suburban areas around the other big cities as well. They were banking to win on the backs of black and brown and Asian voters, said Chuck Roca, a Latino organizer who was a senior advisor to Senator Bernie Sanders during the primaries. They lost all of these areas. In Dallas-Fort Worth, the trend held in areas that are predominantly Latino, even as mostly white areas drove the county's left in the presidential race. Latinos are driving stuff right. What y'all gonna do about that in the brown of America? Everybody keep telling us the brown of America, so many more brown people here than white people, and so white people have to really deal. White people have to deal with it. They gotta deal with nothing because the people share their ideology. Don't you see it? Democrats have really put themselves in quite the pickle. Change in votes cast from 2016 to 2020 in precincts that are at least 80% Latino. Look at this. Look at all that red. These some hardcore Republicans right here. Let's go to Pennsylvania real quick. We're doing it. We're going through all of them. Let's go through all of them real quick, fam. Just stay with me. Pennsylvania. Now let's look at what they say. Now look at this part at the bottom again. Areas with more than 30%, where more than 30% are born abroad. In Philadelphia, precincts in the Northeast, home to a mix of many Asian and Eastern Europeans, immigrants shifted in Mr. Trump's direction, even though a majority still favor Biden. That shift is important, though. Tells you where they're headed. Areas that are more than 50% Latino. The Democratic vote fell 18% in majority Latino areas. Read that again, family. The Democratic vote, we're talking about Penn. The Democratic vote fell 18% in majority Latino areas, including in the largely Puerto Rican precinct in North Philadelphia. The president got 15% of the vote here, up from 5% in 2016. Look at the little yellow block at the bottom again. Areas that are more than 50% black. In majority black precincts, Mr. Biden still received 95% of the vote, despite slight shifts to the right. 95%. But voting was down 20%. Now, let me just say this, fam. Let me come out of here. What that says to me is that you need to deal. Listen, what it says is that when black voters come out, we overwhelmingly vote for Democrats. You need to give us what we need in order to increase turnout. Voila. Because when we come out, we vote for you. You're going to do enough of chasing right-wingers. You chasing white people all over the world, and they don't want Republican. Then you're going to chase Latinos and Asians and other immigrants all over the world, and they don't want Republican. You've had one solid block. And really what you need to do with this block is just give this block, this voting block of ADOS, give this voting block what we need. And that will increase turnout. Instead of doing that, though, you're just assuming that we're going to be a captured vote. There's a reason why that vote was down. Because y'all chose as the candidate a man who was the architect of mass incarceration. One of the architects, right? So, yes, there's a reason why. It ain't crazy. Why don't y'all vote for Biden? Because he jailed and he disappointed to put black people, especially black men, in cages. What do you mean? Well, I don't understand. That's why the voter turnout was down. But what we still didn't do, we don't go around creating all these big groups to say ADOS for Trump or no junk like that. I would be upset. We don't do that. We don't have a bunch of Republican groups for Trump. We got maybe like Candace Owens and a few corn shucking Negroes. We don't have a whole, and no disrespect to black Republicans. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we don't have, look at these people. And we don't have a right to say whatever we want to say and say it however we got to say it. We got to, well, we can't say nothing. They might say we MAGA. Lord, we can't have no kind of, Yvette, be careful. They might try to smear us again. We got, Lord. Nobody being scared of these people. These people are horrible people. Who don't want us to think for ourselves, who think we're stupid. Ain't nobody finna just do what they say. And when you let these people just run wild, everybody can do whatever they want to do. And if they vote Republican, oh, they're just a very diverse group of people. They're much more diverse than the Negroes. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. So they get celebrated for voting Democrat and Republican, but we get called all kind of names and chased around. And what is this? What kind of world is this that we living in? Let's go to the last little bit, fam. Overall, Mr. Biden won Pennsylvania by about 82,000 votes, reversing Mrs. Clinton's critical loss in the state in 2016. But Democrats lost ground in Philadelphia. In precincts with high numbers of Latinos and residents of Asian descent, Mr. Biden lost about 10,000 votes compared with the Democratic vote 4 years ago. He lost an additional 5,000 votes in majority black precincts. Wonder why, Mr. I hang him high. But here's the takeaway. We're going to get to the takeaway now, fam. In the city of immigrants, Democrats lost ground almost everywhere. Almost everywhere? Yes, almost everywhere. New York. Look at the little thing up top. Areas that are, the yellow is areas that are more than 50% Latino or more than 50% Asian. Mr. Trump's share of the vote doubled to 15% in areas where residents of Dominican descent make up the majority. Yeah, Dominicans think they white, I heard. There are uniform shifts to Mr. Trump in both Flushing and Corona. Look at this. This is just awful. This is just awful. Look at all that red. You remember what? Let me just. Red means shifting to the right. You see all them little red dots and arrows? If all them arrows coming at you, you'd be just finished. You would be just finished. This is reprehensible. This is reprehensible. Let me go to another one real quick. Let me go to this real quick. I think that's the same one. Hold on, families. Okay, here we go. In the center of Asian immigration, a veer to the right. California is home to a third of the country's residents of Asian descent. One of the most drastic red shifts in the country came in Orange County, in precincts with many Vietnamese residents who basically switched sides. So you see at the bottom in that little square, areas whose populations are more than 50% of Asian descent. A majority of them Vietnamese. So let's go back up to the top. Yep. Same thing with Latinos. In Los Angeles and Orange County precincts with a Latino majority, more than 415,000 additional voters cast ballots. 87% of the precincts shifted to the right. You can't make this stuff up. Change in votes cast from 2016 to 2020 in precincts in Los Angeles and Orange counties. Look at this. Look at that 156% right there for Trump. Look at that majority Vietnamese, majority Chinese. Come on. Ain't no such thing as minority. You are not me. I'm not you. Ain't no such thing. Stop it. Stop it. Stop telling me about, well, you know, we all in this together. We all minorities. Minorities just mean not white men. That's not a category. Shut up. Well, you know, that's just, we all gotta what? We ain't all gotta do nothing. And let me tell you something else. You don't tell me what to do. We gotta stop doing that. Well, they say, you know what they say. I saw on the news. Don't nobody care. Don't nobody care what you saw on the news, because this is what I saw on the news. I saw this on the news. What you saw? I saw a bunch of women for Trump. I saw a bunch of Latinos for Trump. I saw a bunch of Mexicans and different. I saw all kind of stuff. And I saw nobody showing up for ADOS. So what you want to do about that? You want to barbecue a meal? I'm just trying to figure it out. Let me bring up one more image, fam. Hold on a second. Don't make no sense. People wanna police our thought and police our politics, and we ain't even done nothing. We be just over here minding our business. We ain't done nothing to nobody. We have not bothered nobody, but people want to police us. Let me get to this last little one. We showed this one, okay. But this is key, fam. Listen to this. Listen to what he says. And it's true. We just got to do this for us. So far, the white person driven narrative to blame Hispanics has been utterly racist, given that a strong majority of white people voted to re-elect Trump and a majority of Hispanics voted for Biden, said Matt A. Barreto, a political science at the University of California at Los Angeles and a founder of the polling firm Latino Decisions, who worked for the Biden campaign. Now understand what he said. I'm coming out of this for a second, and then we can go to break. I want you to understand what he just said. He said, listen, a majority of whites came out for Trump. Y'all not going to scapegoat my people. You're not going to do it. I know. He said, I know the numbers. Now, there was a national Latinos for Trump movement, but he said, I don't care. A majority of white people came out for Trump. So you're not going to scapegoat my people. Understand, when I talk about the people who vilified black men, y'all vilified black men, even though it was Latinos and whites and white women was voting for Trump. But this man said, you are not going to vilify my people. Understand that you are an embarrassment to me. If you were one of those people talking about the problem with black men, you are an embarrassment to the community, because black men did not do this, and they should not be scapegoated. You don't get scapegoated. You don't get scapegoated for that. All these other communities voted. Was it white, Latino, Asian? Voted far more at a higher rate than black men did. And y'all let black men get skewered at the got doggone cross for voting for Trump, when it was just wasn't even a large amount, and they had reason to. That was a protest vote. Get him out of here. But this man said, you're not gonna scapegoat my people. Listen, we rise together, we fall together. That's it. I don't know what else to tell. I don't know what to tell. We can't survive if we're going to have to deal with all these black blue chicks who are on TV and on the internet and everywhere saying that the problem is black men. When you got way more white people, way more Latinos, way more Asians voting for Trump, and black and white men and black women, and all of us have more of a reason to leave him alone, or at least vote down ballot, than anybody else, because of what he did in terms of the writing of his bills of the 1994 Crime Act and everything else he's done that's been detrimental to us. If you don't know it, if you don't understand it, then shut up. We either rise together or fall together. And if you're not together, you need to get somewhere and sit down and be quiet. We are tired of you. And we're tired of people telling us how we got to think. We don't got to do nothing. We don't have to do anything you say do. I'm free enough to not take any advice from anybody on the internet who says that the problem is black men. I don't have to take no advice from you. You can go suck an egg. I don't care. But we are free people. We get to figure out our own solutions to our own problems. And right now, both parties, in my estimation, are a problem to us. Republicans are overtly hostile to us. And Democrats want to use us as a doormat and give everybody else a doorway into our struggle and say everything else is a new black. And tell us what we got to do. I don't work for none of them. You don't either. They work for us. They're our politicians. That's the way it goes. And this bullying of us has to stop. And it only stops when we stand up to it. You saw this article. You go pull it up. When everybody said, well, the black people, they voted more Republican. Give them a clip of this. Weaponize this article. And that's why these numbers have to be disaggregated. I need to know how much ADOS voted for Biden versus Nigerians or versus whoever. I need to know what the number is. I need to know that. And I'm not gonna be bullied by nobody saying, well, you must be MAGA. Shut up. You must be dumb. You don't choose for me. You don't choose for us. We choose for ourselves. You can't be free people. I've said this before. You can't be free people if you're not free thinking people. If we're always obsessed with the white gays or the Latino gays or this other gay. Or what will white people think? What will brown people think? What will they think of me? I don't care. Will I survive and thrive based on the politics of my choosing? That is the only conversation we have to have. And that's the conversation that we have to have together and then send it out into the public. We'll figure out our own strategy. You don't get to tell us what our strategy should be. Who are you? So we're at about the 1 hour mark. And I'm starting to cough a little bit more. So give me a second, fam, to set up the phones. Good look at the Grinch there. And we'll be right back to let you all have the conversation. right, fam. We are back. We are back. We are back. If you want to call in, you can call in tonight because tonight is one of the lightest call nights. Probably the lightest call night I've seen in about 2 years. But if don't nobody else call in except for these few people here, I'm gonna go get some tea. So it's all good for me. Anyway, I'm going to go to the first call. I'm going to 703 703. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello there.
Hey.
Hello. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I got through. I've been trying for months.
It's a holiday weekend. Everybody gone. They out drinking libations. So you can holiday week. I'm sorry.
This is amazing. I'm so happy. I cannot even express how much I get from this show. I found you sort of through Tone Talks, and he kept talking about Yvette Carnell, and I said, I got to go see what he's talking about, and it's just what I've been looking for. I'm just amazed, and I want to say that I really didn't really pay much attention to reparations before. I would hear about it, but now I have just a passion for it because I understand exactly what's going on and what the need is for reparations.
Exactly.
I got to say this to you, that President Obama did sign off on reparations, but he signed off on reparations or what was a supplemental reparations bill for the people of Guam. He signed that supplemental December 23rd of 2016.
Lord have mercy.
Right before he was getting ready to leave office. The people of Guam, the island of Guam, was invaded by the Japanese. And this is through me reading during World War II. The United States is paying them a supplemental reparations money in the form of checks still to this day. Now, originally in 1945, Congress had approved for the people of Guam to receive reparations, and then they had a year to apply for it, and so a lot of people didn't want to come forward or didn't know what to do to get that money. And then as recently as 2008, the representatives for Guam went back to Congress, and they worked through the representatives in Congress, and they got an approval, and President Obama signed that reparations supplemental December 23rd of 2016. And let me just tell you, the things that the people of Guam are getting checks for, their descendants, okay, they're getting checks for the invasion for death, for rape, or you can read it. It's online. You can read it. It's in the DOJ. When you talk about having a budget behind policy, they have a budget behind policy. So they're getting reparations. I wish I didn't know I would get through so quick. But,
you doing good though. Shoot, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they and I said I was going to email you with all this information, but they're getting reparations. Here we go. I got to get it for you. For there it is. All right. So they are. It's called the Guam. Oh my goodness. Meritorious Claims Act. So it's a Claims Act, just like you talk about all the time. So they get it for injury, personal injury, and there's two types of injury that they were talking about. So there's injury from when they were invaded, but there's also like if they got a more severe personal injury, they get a checks for that. And the level of the reward or the award of the claim, it can depend on the severity of what they went through during that time. There's also a claim for people who evaded capture. there's a level of money for that as well. For people that were hiding to keep from getting captured, they also have claims as well. For being put in camps, for labor, all of that. And as a matter of fact, the last meeting, you can look it up, was September of this year, September 2020. You can look on the DOJ website where they have the number of the claim that the person put in. And I think it's about 200 that I saw of September 2020, where they're reviewing those claims for the folks of Guam to receive payment. Not only do they get the payment, $15,000, $10,000, depending on the severity, but they also get it's open for future payment.
Something like we talked about with the Jewish community called standing in the shoes. That means future payments.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, continue.
Absolutely.
Please continue.
Absolutely. So there you go. So not only I hear a lot about the people, Japanese concentration camps. I hear about that, and I hear about Native Americans. But then a lot of people don't talk about the Guam situation, and that they also get funding for education. So not only for them, but so that they can educate other people about what happened to them. The Japanese invaded Guam. It's not even like necessarily coming from the United States, but because we signed a treaty with Japan, they can't be held responsible for it. So Japan doesn't pay. We're paying. The United States is paying Guam for what happened. So I just...
Well, you know what? You know what's so crazy about this, fam? Let me just say this, and I'm gonna let you finish. Let me just say this. What's so crazy about this, and you talked about Obama and Guam, is that this is the same president who said, well, we can't do reparations in America because immigrants might disagree, and I think black people just kind of want to feel a certain way, right? So he made us into emotional babies and said we can't do it because other people, immigrants, might disagree, and might not want to pay it. This is the same person who signed on to what you're saying he signed on to in Guam. What does that tell you? What do you think that tells you about him as Obama?
Exactly. And I just, when I hear him speak, I think to myself, what was he thinking when he signed off on that? And you told us all these different things that couldn't be done, that he actually signed off on that. Now there's an article that says Guam residents compensated for war atrocities decades later. More than 3,000 people on Guam are expecting to get long-awaited compensation from the United States government for their suffering at the hands of Imperial Japan during World War II. And that's an article from February 27th, 2020. So what you're talking about is real. And we hurt a lot. And like you said before, it's not necessarily just for us, but it's for the children.
Absolutely.
And this is repair. You're talking about repair, and you're on point when you say a budget.
Yep. Everything is about a budget. Resources.
That's right. Money. That's policy and budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely, fam. I didn't even know that, so.
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for bringing that up.
I said I was going to send you an email about that, but that article and all of it it's in policy. And
thank
the
you.
DOJ and the Treasury is involved. They're cutting checks for that.
Absolutely.
So
ain't never been a check cut for us. And you got to understand. You and thank you, Carla. I want to thank you for calling in because I had no idea about that. And I want to say something to the people. Appreciate it, Carla. Because when people don't cut you a budget, let me tell you. Let me just put this out there. If you have been in a country hundreds of years, generations, and nobody ever cut you a budget, nobody ever does what they do for other groups for you, that means the expectation is that you're just going to die. And you're just going to be over with. There's something else in play. If the play is not for you to recover, the play is for you to die of your injuries. Let me say that one more time. If the play is not for you to recover, the play is for you to die of your injuries. Understand that. When people are saying we don't need no XYZ, everybody else get it because they say, well, we want this group to recover. We have a plan for it. We're going to work with them. If they're not saying that for you, us, what does that mean? There's another play for us. Ooh, and it's dastardly. And don't nobody want to be a part of that. People got to learn to read the tea leaves. Anyway, I'm going to my next call. I'm going to 404 404. What's your name? Where you calling from? What is on your mind?
Hey, Yvette.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine. Just fine. Thank you.
What's going on with you?
I want to start. Well, I want to start by saying congratulations for the speech and question and answer at Yale. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to listen to it. I'm hoping that it will be posted somewhere where I can, but I did read where everyone said how proud they were of you and how you were able to answer all the questions. And then your Clubhouse. Now, I don't have the iPhone. I can't wait until they expand it. But I'm glad that I don't have it right now because I'm all in my emotions, Yvette.
I understand.
And I would be one of those people that you warned us about on Tuesday.
Shout people down. Shut up. You hush. I understand. I totally understand.
I would really have to get my libations to sit there and do that.
No, don't do that. Your libations is gonna make it worse. Your libations will make it worse. The libations, if it's a kind of libation I'm thinking about, it'll make it worse. That liquid courage ain't nothing for you. That ain't nothing for you. Ain't nothing good gonna come of it.
Well, the reason why I'm calling you that is this. You know, one of the things that I've been able to do is recognize patterns. Okay, and you can see things as clearly when you're looking at things through the lenses of ADOS. And what I'm seeing in the other minority groups is that the reason why they are doing what they do is so that the Democratic Party would chase after them and give them everything that they want. And ADOS has been playing the role of that loyal person who gives everything that they can to another person only to be used and abused in the process until one day that person gets sick of it and walk away. Now, some of those people who do that kind of stuff is psychopathic. And I'm thinking that DNC group is a bit psychopathic because they treat us like we don't even matter. Like they don't matter. And the people who are caping for them, trying to explain it all away, I mean, I often wonder what I can't curse, but what are they thinking of? And why are they willing to sell their soul, Yvette? Because it is a sell, they are selling their soul to make it so that, they can keep us blinded. But I am so happy that we are opening our eyes and seeing it for what it is. And one of the reasons why we're able to do so is because of the education that you and Tone are giving us. I told you I started listening to you guys a while ago. I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I just said, I didn't say nothing. I don't want to say that. Go ahead,
okay. So I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and I tell you, I hate to be repetitive, but it was hard, Yvette, to get that lesson. It was hard. But once I accepted it, I now can see it. I can see things. Like I said, I can see these patterns. And so maybe, just maybe, we need to take a page from their book. We need to say, you know what, we're not going to do for y'all. We're not going to make ourselves available to you all like we have in the past. And we're going to play hard to get. Because that's the language that they understand. The politicians, they don't care about their base. I mean, when it comes to minorities, they be all of them chasing around.
Well, let me just say this. Let me say this, man. I think what has to happen though, I see. This is why Democratic down ballot was the way for me early. I think you have to cost them the White House. I think you have to cost them the White House. I think you do. I think you have to cost them. That's the biggest egg in the hunt, right? That's the Easter egg hunt. That's the biggest egg. You got to say, listen. Hey, guess what? We didn't just cost you the White House because we just sat down. No, we showed up for some other people. We showed up for some other people in our city, some other people in our county. If we voted for people, we voted against other people, but we showed out against you, and we didn't vote for you. And if you cost them that, you got to hurt politicians. And if you don't hurt them, They don't take you seriously, and that's the story of our existence. We don't hurt nobody, so everybody's like, hey, they'll come along at the end, and we always do. We got to stop that.
You know what, Yvette? I think that one of the things that we need to do is stop pretending that God made us Junior Jesus or Junior Holy Spirit. He didn't need to. He just needed one. And that was it. And I say that because that's the mind frame that we go into things, thinking that we all have to get along, that we all have to apologize or accept apologies before they're even given, in some cases, giving apologies, that we all have to be that person. But we're the ones who are hurting more than everybody. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, I said, tell me this. What does a tree do first? Whenever you plant that seed, what does it do? It takes nutrients from the soil and from the sun and from water before it's able to give out that oxygen. So we need to start nurturing ourselves and putting us first before we're able to help anybody else. How hard is that?
Yeah, and it's necessary. Well, and it's necessary when you understand that you don't have enough to give. See, we're like a group who's starving, but we don't understand we're starving. Like in our mind, we see sweet potato pie, but on the table it's like little crumbs of bread. So we don't even understand it. Like, oh, we starving. We're like, no, I got some pie, and guess what? I'm on Millionaire Street, so I'm gonna have a lot more pies tomorrow. And it's just like, no, you don't have no money, you don't have no pie, ain't no pie. What you talking about? No, what you mean? I got pie everywhere. I just ain't buy no pie. I don't feel like sweet potato today. And so we have to become honest about where the majority of us are. Not the aberrations, not the unicorns, the majority of adults. We got to get honest about where the majority of us are. And what it's going to take for us to get from here to there. We're talking A to Z, not A to C or A to S, A to Z.
Right now it's going to be A to B in a couple of months. But, yeah, I concur with everything that you just said. And I'm hoping that this will grow. And whenever, I know they just put another Band-Aid on that broke arm in that new budget that they're trying to pass. Good. But at some point in time, the tax man will come, or the mortgage payment is going to come, and you have all these people who are in arrears who stand to lose their homes, and evictions are still going on, mostly in the Black community, and it's just going to be a train wreck. And if people really want to know, they're predicting, a lot of those people who play the stock market, that the stock market is going to crash. Chris Hedges being one, the Rich Dad Poor Dad guys, another one. They're all saying, "Oh, it's gonna crash. It's coming." And so, it's going to be ugly. And so what we need to do is to be ready to educate all our people when it does come, so that they can come to the realization that this is truly our only option. Yeah. Because we don't know when the hiring is going to start again. Thank you, God, that I still have my position, but there's no guarantee, and I feel it. But I'm thankful for every day that I do have it. But this economy is really bad, and we're going to get a very hard lesson really soon.
Absolutely.
And so now it's time for us to come to grip. Reality is about to strike. And we can only do well if we decide to come together as a group. Stop listening to them folks that's lying to you.
Absolutely, fam. That's a word. That's a word, fam. I appreciate you.
All they doing is lying.
I appreciate you, fam. I want to thank you for calling them and try to get some other calls, but you're absolutely right. Stop listening to them folks that's lying to you. That's a great final word on that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think one of the things that happens, it's not even that, like, a lot of Latinos are even invested in, like, making Democrats chase them. They really do have, like, the abortion doctor that you heard in here. They have their own convictions, right? Or they come from countries that are nothing like our background. So they had a dictator. So they see a dictator behind every bush. Everybody is Hugo Chavez or somebody or whatever. And I'm not saying nothing bad about Chavez. I'm not taking sides on none of this stuff. But I'm saying they see Fidel Castro everywhere. Oh, that's Fidel. It's going to be just like Fidel again. I'm shell-shocked. I'm shellacked. And so, like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's not here. That's not what happened. Yes, it is. I see the signs. The same thing happened over there. If it happened over here, I do. I'm a vote conservative because I don't want no government because government got me shell shot. And so it's just like it's hard to meet some of these people who really feel like where they come from is America, and they don't understand it. Like, that's not the same. And we don't understand that backgrounds are different, and the role that plays, because people have tried to make us think that everything is melanin, and so we have to get outside of that. Anyway, going to my next call, 703. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey.
It's Nick from VA.
How you doing?
I kind of three things I want to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
One, stimulus bill.
Okay.
One thing that really me is how people aren't talking about this liability clause that Mitch McConnell is really pushing.
Okay.
And that liability clause preventing people to sue from getting COVID, from going to work,
Mm-hmm.
or being in that environment. That's one thing he's been trying to push.
Mm-hmm.
And that's starting back from even in September when he first introduced it. So you're not paying people, and then when you force people to open back up, they're going to go to work, and then they can get COVID, and then because they don't show up to work, they're going to lose their job. And now they don't have any health care to deal with the bill that's coming back from COVID. It's specifically to stop what's going on, like with Tyson's, where those factory workers are suing the management because they knew they were forcing them to go to work in an environment and they were going to catch COVID and taking those bets.
Mm,
and the interesting part is neither the Democrats talk about it either. That's actually one of the things they use as a bargaining tip, that they're okay with it, which kind of goes more along the lines of both parties working to make sure to keep the rich stay rich.
Yeah, that's true.
I just think it's horrible that no one is calling this out. The amount of money is low, but the fact that they want to put this liability clause, no country in the world has put a liability clause on giving people money or with companies to prevent people from suing companies who are taking advantage of the pandemic situation.
Well, I had originally heard it didn't make it into the final bill or draft or whatever. Was that not true?
They just removed it, but the compromise was for the Democrats not to provide any money to states, which are going bankrupt from trying to fill unemployment.
Yeah.
So that was a compromise, and it was
a bad compromise.
Kind of kicked down the road with Joe Biden saying that, we're going to pass another bill early next year. But what they did compromise on, what states had been doing, especially California kind of leading the way, is they just went directly to the Federal Reserve to get money to back their state employment funds, which were going insolvent. But with this bill that they have signed, they're blocking states from doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. We need to pay more attention to that because that's a big deal because ain't nobody else doing that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, the liability clause is what's going to, because when they say you got to go to work, you're not going to be able to say, I can't go to work, and they're just going to be able to fire you. They're not going to fire you from COVID. They're just going to fire because you're not showing up. And
yeah, they're going to say, no call, no show. We all know what a no call, no show is. If you ever work somewhere, you know what a no call, no show is. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what the corporations are doing, almost like when they gave the PPP money to the airlines, and then the airlines laid off 90,000 people.
Yep. You're right.
The second thing I wanted to touch on real quickly is I noticed you had quoted Chuck LaRocha. I have a real problem with him. I heard him talk on a progressive station where he was talking about how they made all this expansion with the Latinos. The Latinos, the Asians, they are never going to get a group to vote like black people in America. Black people have been homogenized over the years, and we are on key pages on certain things that it doesn't matter whether I know you or you know me, but on certain issues, we're going to hold the hard line.
Yep.
And because black Americans, multi-generational black Americans have been here long, we dominate the majority, that's going to dictate out for any black immigrants. When you get to the Asians, first of all, you have to divide the Asians into the Far East and the Middle East, and then kind of that Southeast, that's below kind of Japan, Vietnam, so Cambodia, Indonesia. And they're not on one page at all. So you're never going to get 80% of the Asians, and it doesn't even make sense because the Indians have a percentage, and they split. They don't align with the Chinese, but yet they roll all their stats together. And the same thing with the Latinos. You're trying to group people from Central and South America and the Caribbean.
It's not a group. It's not a group. That's why I said the Latino vote. But that's why I said Latino vote is not a vote. It's not a vote. There's no such thing as a Latino vote. I don't care what anybody says. There is a such thing as the ADOS vote, and to a larger extent the black vote, because we have a similar lineage and experience, and we are, what you just said, we're predisposed towards certain things because of a shared kind of oppression. That does not exist with people who are called Latinos. A Venezuelan does not feel the same way as a Guatemalan, feel the same way as a Mexican. They are not the same. So you all are just grouping them in together by whatever white supremacy or white America views as similar traits, right? Spanish speaking or something like that. That's not it. There's no such thing. We are still the largest voting bloc because we are a bloc in America.
And so Chuck LaRoche was on the show, and he was talking about, he's like, oh, well, we already know how to deal with the blacks. You know, we just buy a place near one of their communities. We just go buy one of the politicians, and we get them to say our message. And, you know, that pretty much works for the blacks. But I realized we couldn't take that formula for white America. And one of the people who were interviewing him was like, well, Bernie didn't win the black vote. So how could you say you already have a codified black strategy? And he was like, well, you know, we just realized we just weren't going to get them. And he just kind of dressed over the question because, you know, whenever Bernie Sanders started speaking, especially this year, whenever someone brought up black, he immediately followed with people of color.
Yeah, he just erased us. Bernie Sanders was the politician of erasure. And I don't care what them little leftists keep writing up about, see, Bernie was empathetic. See, Bernie understood people. See, you know who's always been talking about taking care of people? Bernie. No, Bernie was a politician of erasure. He would never just talk specifically about black people or about ADOS specifically. So he erased us. What do you mean?
Yeah, and if you went and looked on his website, and when he talked, he had a specific plan for everybody but black people. He had a plan for veterans. He had a plan for older people, younger white people, Latinos, immigrants, Asians. He had a plan for everybody except for blacks and refused to put one in there.
Yep.
But Chuck LaRoche was trying to lead this strategy and was like, well, this is what we do, and I'm trying to get more focus on the Latino community because we can win them over. You will never get a bloc that will vote 80%.
Never. Not in this lifetime, no.
And you can keep trying to push this message, but you're never going to get it.
You're right, fam. I appreciate
They're not going to lie.
I appreciate you calling in, fam. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you so much. And you're right. It's never going to happen. We are the thing. Like, Democrats need to just put the policies, put the reparations and the transformative black agenda on the table. And then you can get far more. You can ratchet up black turnout, right? And win some stuff. This stuff y'all are trying to do, this ain't gonna work. And I'm tired of this stuff she just said about coming out community and buying politicians. That's some bull too. So, you know, this is some awful stuff. This is an awful political predicament that we in. Hang on a sec. 217, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Cynthia from Chicago. How are you?
Pretty good, Cynthia. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you as well.
So I know you need some tea. So I'm going to try to ask my questions really quickly. So my first question to you, I'm just really curious to know what your thoughts are.
Okay.
So going back to for this particular election, you talked about the black vote, specifically the ADOS vote, going in. And also, we even saw an increase of black folks, you know, because like they really didn't disaggregate the numbers when it came to who voted for who, when it comes to our group, of course, right? But you saw an increase in percentage from 13% in 2016 going to Trump to 19% for black men, and for black women 4% to 9% in 2020 for Trump. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on, do you think that these numbers are a beginning of our group kind of, being disenchanted with the Democratic Party and possibly leaving and going elsewhere? So that's my first question.
Yes, and I have a problem with that too. Okay, so see, the problem is, somebody wrote something, I can't remember where it was, but it's true if I can remember, about how we've done this before, where we left the Republicans kind of to come to the Democrats around the Woodrow Wilson era, right? Because Republicans have done all this stuff and they said we freed the slaves or whatever, and so they were just taking us for granted, and so we went to the Democrats, right? And so now here we are.
Right.
So we kind of have a history of leaving party to party, right? And trying to just hope for the best for the party that we leave with. The problem is, the other party just begins to take you for granted too. I think we have to get to a moment where we're willing to let both parties lose. And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about abandoning the political process, because that's very dangerous. So there are people locally and elsewhere that you need to vote for. You might even have a congressperson where you are who does a decent job. You might have a judge that you need to vote in or vote out. You might have ballot. So we have to engage the process. But I think we need to, at some point, what's going to happen is down ballot what we did, right? In the sense of, we have to make the top of the ticket lose. Both Democrat and Republican, y'all are going to lose. Because what these people have told us is that you have no home. You have no home on the left. You have no home on the right, and we still vote even though we don't have no home. It's like paying rent somewhere when you ain't got no room. So you don't have a room, you don't have a home nowhere, but you still go vote because they might let me in the back shed or they might let me in the garage, and that's just not good enough. At a certain point, we have to realize that what is available at the top of both these tickets is not good enough. Now, I'm in the bottom of the ticket. If you feel like it's not good enough, you can vote down ballot or whatever for that too. But still show up, because there's usually something, even if it's like I said before, even if it's a tax increase or decrease, there's usually something on there for you to vote for. I've never gone to the ballot and ain't nothing on there for me. I've never done that before in my life. So, and we've all been upset and disgruntled. But what I'm saying is, we have never said deliberately and as a collective, we're going to hurt both these people, because neither one of them are doing what's necessary for us. We're not going to just plop back and forth no more. We're going to hurt both of them. Everybody, y'all can all lose. We don't care who lose. We're not giving it to you. I think that's the thing that has to happen. That's the thing that has not been tried. We tried it in this last election, but I'm talking about as an enormous number of most of us. That's something that has not been tried, and we need to try it, because what we're doing ain't been working.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I know that in my particular state that you can do a write-in candidate or a write-in period, but that person has to be registered as far as like any elected office.
Well, yeah, if you can't do it, we know there are a lot of places that you can't write in at all, or they'll throw the ballot out. So if you cannot do it, you have to leave it blank.
Exactly.
You can leave it blank. You can leave it blank everywhere. Like the top of the ticket, you can leave blank and vote for everybody else, right? So there's some places though where you just can't write in. And we talked about that before the election, that you have to be informed about what kind of what area you live in and what's acceptable and what's legal and what's not.
Yeah, exactly. I made sure that before I voted that I looked at Illinois' rules as far as like voting is concerned. You still risk your ballot being thrown out if you leave any portion blank. So I just voted third party. I didn't vote Libertarian though. I ended up voting.
Well, it depends on that depends on where you are though, because that's not the case everywhere. It depends on where you are. You don't risk that everywhere. But yeah, you should look at the rules of where you are and decide based on where you are what you need to do. But we have to be willing to risk letting these people lose, because they're not doing anything for us. And I want to thank you, caller, for calling in. I appreciate it. We're going to move on to the next call and try to get through a couple more before we get out of here and all this happy holidays-ness. Anyway, I'm going now to 424. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, I'm Calicia.
Hey.
And I'm from Los Angeles, California.
How are you?
And I just want. How are you?
Pretty good.
I'm calling basically to state my opinion pertaining to, I guess, the state of Black America.
Okay.
As far as I see it, I think that we've been in a domestic violence relationship with or with white folks, and now Asians and Mexicans. Everyone is participating in this domestic violence against us. They withhold resources. They constantly treat us disrespectfully every single day. And I thought one of the things that they did that was very disrespectful, and this is Jewish Fauci. He basically states that there was an African American who participated in the COVID cure. And then they introduced the person who they introduced as an African. And I said, does he know how disrespectful this is? So everyone participates in this systematic domestic violence that they just do against us. And I work on the jail pop, the RAC, work with the RAC and other committees. I'm also on the Office of Health Equity. And I basically told them they went through a racial equity thing, having a discussion, trying to have these hard conversations. And I said, you know what, we'll participate. You guys are all domestic violence. You do it against us every time with the policies, with the people that you give us to vote for. And then, the way that we even respond and react to other races, we keep our mouths closed. We don't say the truth. And I think you and Tony are the best thing for us, because you give it to us straight. You tell us the truth. And we say the truth shall set us free. Mm-hmm. But a whole lot of us are fighting against the truth.
Oh, so many.
Anyway.
So many.
So, we got a hard fight ahead, but you're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
And I know that on the committees that I sit on, it is just it's a horror show. I'm on the funding committee for the RAT, for the Alternatives to Incarceration. And what they set before us, there was nothing good. They want to use the same the Department of Mental Health, LASA. I can call LASA right now today and won't get no help for anybody. And everybody who I usually know has been in prison and they need extra help. They give us the same old stuff all the time. And you know what? I am sick and tired. I done had enough. I give a group that basically says we didn't had enough. I didn't had enough.
That's us.
I'm with you, guys.
Thank you. That's us. That's right here. When you done had enough, that's ADOS. We right here. When you finish with the BS, when you done played with these people enough, this is where you land. So I want to thank you, fam. I appreciate it. And we are on one page with what you just said. I appreciate you, fam. We are on one accord, just so you know. I'm going to my next caller. I'm going to 713. 713, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Same to you.
This is Stevie calling from Houston.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to talk about two things, the stimulus, and also I wanted to talk about one other thing. So let me just start off by saying I watched another program, and they did a drill down on the stimulus bill.
Okay.
And I was floored by who they were giving money to.
Uh-huh. I
mean, fish got more money than we got.
Well, fish are more important than us, they say. I said fish must be more important than us.
I guess so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I think if we realize that they're doing the general population that wrong, that was Democrats that was in on that. Nancy Pelosi is trash.
I don't like to call people trash. I like to dehumanize people. I understand what you're saying. Because I remember
her policies or her tactics are trash. Let me put it that way. Okay?
Gotcha.
But I was very unhappy, and I don't expect us to get anything. I'm not dependent on that, right? If they do fine, they don't fine too. But what really upsets me is they tried to blame all of that nonsense on us. And per the data that you showed us today, everybody else is pretty much navigating in their own way. I wish somebody would come to me and tell me, you're the problem, black men are the problem. And I'm tired of hearing sisters trash black men, talking about all this black girl magic and all of that stuff. It's just divisive. It's not necessary. We're all in this together, and we need to recognize that and stop being so emotional, because it's not helping.
Well, I don't even think it's emotional. I think these people are weaponized in a certain way, right? Like, this is your job. Your job is to do this. This is your job. Go on out there and do what we said do. And then they don't, like, a lot of times they don't know enough to know, like, that what they're presenting is total BS. And they're not willing to learn. And so what they'll do is they'll just go out there and demonize ADOS and say, oh, y'all are this, y'all are that, y'all are whatever. They don't know enough to know, like, no, you're a whole fool. You're a whole fool, not Whole Foods. You're a whole fool. They don't know enough to know that because they have not engaged the material, right? You have to engage the content. They don't engage the material. They go, oh, yeah, I know the problem. This is just the black man, and black man is the weakest link, and blah, 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 blah. You so crazy. And they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. But you should go in search of it, but they don't.
Well, you know what I do? Because I've been taking directives from here. I no longer go on the social media and reduce, kill them like a cockroach is what I used to do. I don't do that no more.
You don't do that no more.
What I do is I ask them a question about their proposition, and they never are able to answer the question.
Yeah, that's one technique.
Blows your mind. It's that simple.
Yeah.
You want to shut them down? Ask them about their proposition. They can't. They can't respond.
That's true. You're exactly right, fam. I want to thank you for that. It's true. Thank you, fam. I appreciate you calling in, but you're exactly right. And that's a good point to leave it on. Ask them a question about their proposition. If you ask somebody a question they can't answer, ooh-wee, you cook a whole goose. You can cook a goose like that. You don't need no oven. You can cook a goose if you ask somebody a question they can't answer. That's a whole goose you can cook. Now, let me see. I'm going to 770. 770, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, I'm Juanita, and I'm in Atlanta.
Hey, how you doing?
By way of Chicago.
By way of Chicago, in Atlanta. How is everything?
Everything is fine. Just trying to stay in so I don't catch COVID.
I know. Got to.
But what I wanted to say is that I guess I'm a boomer, but I must be a strange boomer because ever since I started voting, I always listened to people that said black people need to get rid of their democratic religion or we're not going to get anywhere. So I've always been a kind of free thinker. And I think that's what has to happen. The good thing is that I understand that we all don't have to be there, but a significant number has to be there.
Absolutely.
And that's what I fight for. But my generation, most of them, we stupid as hell. I can't even call it. I don't even know why they do what they do. But I will say this much: in all of this fluctuation of the economy and all of that, people that already got money getting more money.
Oh yes.
It's only Adolf people that are getting less money. And I found that out because I was fortunate enough to get a 401k, and I'm not bragging, but that doggone thing doubled.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anything more in it. Just what was there just doubled. And that
like magic. Like magic, ain't it? Like magic.
It was like magic. I was like, what the hell? But that lets me know that white people are doing just fine.
Yeah.
And reparations is the only way we gonna do fine.
Talk about it, fam. Talk about it.
I look at my nieces, and I don't know what to say. I mean, they're both working at the so-called good jobs, but they never going to get any traction to go anywhere because they weighted down with student loans. You know, they drunk the Kool-Aid. They believed if they went to college and got a degree, everything was going to be all right for them.
That's what they told us, though, fam. That's what they told us. I remember the lie.
I know.
Yep.
I know. And now, you know, they got all these student loans. I mean, yeah, they make a decent salary, but when you got to spend $400 a month just on your student loan, you know, how you gonna save for a house?
You can't.
And
Very extreme
and nobody in the family has money to give you a down payment.
Inheritance, no generational wealth to pass down.
And I, you know, the way I'm starting to get through to people is, I tell them, I said, when a white person, child wants to get a house, they do one or two things. They either give them the down payment, or they let them live with them rent free, totally free, so they can devote their whole paycheck to getting their down payment. And I asked them, I said, can you afford to do either one?
Ooh, or are you willing to do either one? Two. Are you willing to let your kid come back home? Some of y'all ain't. Go on, fam. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That too. Can you do it, and are you willing to do it? And that's when I get the crickets going. I said, see, that's the reason why you need to be for reparations.
That's true.
It's not for you. It's not for me. It's for my nieces and my great nieces.
Absolutely.
I don't expect to live long enough to get it. But I want it for them. And I think that the selfishness that people have when they say, it's never going to happen, I'm never going to get anything. That's a lot of the damn problem.
Let me stop you right there, fam, because I think you've hit a point. A really good point. Part of the problem is that we have a lot of people who don't see life through more than one lifetime. You have to start seeing life through more than just your lifetime. You have to start seeing life as like our lifetime. The life that we have lived here comes all the way back from slavery to our great-great-grandparents, to Jim Crow, to grandmama, grandpapa, mama and dad in here. And the same thing happens with us. Life is more than one lifetime. You have to live for more than one lifetime. And that's what you're speaking to.
Exactly. It's you know, for me, I know that my great-great-grandmother was a slave. You know, she had lash marks on her back. So, how can I, coming from that to now, you know, and then I was blessed, you know, I kind of got in that bubble, you know, I'm an RN and I made real good money and stuff. That's not what these kids are facing now. They facing the whole thing. I mean, if somebody ain't trying to kill them, they're trying to cage them.
If somebody ain't, wait, sometimes when you say a word, you got to say it. If somebody, hold on, fam. Hold on. You said something that was powerful. You said our kids are facing something different. If somebody ain't trying to kill them, they trying to cage them. You got to say that. You have to pause when you say something that powerful. Now I'll let you finish. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, it's the truth. And I don't know why people can't see it. I have friends who say if you see 5 young men that's between the ages of 17 and 30, 2 or 3 of them have been to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been to prison because they didn't have the money to get the lawyer to get them out of it.
Yep.
You know, that white boy ain't going to prison for the same thing that little Adolf boy going for.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just not happening like that. When they get probation, and my grandson got to get jail time.
Yep.
And people don't. It's hard to get some people to understand that.
Absolutely.
You still got crazy people talking about, well, if they don't want to do the time, don't do the crime.
A lot of these crimes are poverty crimes too. Poverty crimes and stuff that most people won't get arrested for. So a white boy do it, people will say, "Oh, it's just a joke. He was just having fun with the kids," and we go to jail for it.
Exactly. I have a case in point that I know a young man who was caught with a TV set. Now, he was still in a TV set. I'm not going to try to say he wasn't. But all he had was that one TV set. They caught him. They locked him up. They said, ain't nobody ever seen it, but they said he had gang tattoos. So they did something, a RICO something. So he ended up getting 2 years in prison and 10 years probation for a TV set. And they say ain't nothing.
Think about think about what that means though. He's a dead man walking in a lot of ways. Because what they've really done with the criminal record too, you never really are able to rehabilitate yourself. So let's just even say he got the TV set, he got out of jail, he got a new life for himself, he's doing whatever. Nobody's gonna employ you now, which puts you back in the cycle of doing crime. So they really put a mark on you when you go to prison or when you get locked up, to where you can't ever come out and really be a part of society again, and that is intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional. You can't, even if you happen to get a job or have a trade, like be a barber or something, where you make money, you can't even get an apartment because you got a record.
Yep. They want you to be homeless.
So you can't get a place to live. You can't get a job. So what's going to happen?
Starve out.
You're gonna do what you got to do in order to eat.
Yep. Or you're going to die. Either way, the government's happy. I mean, either way, whoever, either way who put those policies in place is happy, because people got to stop saying, well, nobody know how this was going to turn out. There were all kinds of, let me tell y'all something, before any kind of policy is enacted, they do a whole study of what the ramifications are going to be. This is not a surprise of how this ended up. Don't let nobody tell you that they just didn't know. That's not how politics work. I've been there. There are whole studies that are done about what the implications look like. They know what this was. This is intentional. But I'm gonna let you finish up, fam, before we go.
Well, the only thing I have to say is, on that, is that, they count out sons in 3rd grade, and that's how they make jail cells out, because they figure that's where they're gonna go. And the only way any of that will change is if we get reparations and get made whole.
Absolutely.
It starts there. All of this starts there.
Absolutely, fam.
Anything else is a Band-Aid. And the last thing I have to say is sometimes you have to cut people like you cut out cancer.
You do?
Quickly, cleanly, and thoroughly.
Yeah, nice clean cut. Swift to it. Swift with it. Nice clean cut. You got a clean cut. You don't get a clean cut, it can have infection. Thank you so much, fam. I sure do appreciate it. That is going to be the end the end of the show for tonight, fam. I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful holiday. I want you to enjoy your Christmas with your family. If you can, if in your household with people that you're normally around, unless they all recently got COVID tests, if you can't do it, call and Zoom them and play and have fun with them. Just try to find some joy in your life, because this is a very unjoyous time for us, but we're going to keep working. We're going to keep doing everything that we got to do to move forward. But I just want y'all to, just try to keep it easy breezy. Don't let these people stress you out too bad, because you let them, they'll stress you out real, real bad. So just, fam, have a good holiday, and try not to let nobody stress you out, because stress causes disease, you understand? So please do that. If you wanna, please like the show if you're still in here. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you want to donate, $breakingbrown, patreon.com/ycarnell, donatebrown.com, all of those things, adosmerch.com if you want a shirt, all of those things. But listen, hitting the bell costs you nothing. It's free to hit that bell. It's free to subscribe. It's free to hit that like button before you run out of here. It costs you nothing, and it's a pandemic. You want to be able to do stuff that don't cost you no money. Pandemic, hit it now. So anyway, fam, please take care of yourselves. We will be back. Hopefully by the time we get back, I'll be done with this old dumb cough that's getting on my last nerve. But be easy breezy, fam, and take it easy. And we will meet here next time.